This is the most famous one in the world,
Yeah,
because in the world.
So today I'm with Zach.
Yeah, hi there.
And we're with your quite cool car, and I'm going to try and pronounce this, but I want you to correct me. So is it a Mitsuoka Le Seyde?
No, we can do better than that.
Right.
It took me a long time, let's be honest. The manufacturer model, it's quite complicated really. It's a Mitsuoka, and then it is a Mitsuoka Le Seyde.
Ah.
Yeah, it doesn't get very easy to explain that to people on the phone, let's be honest, no.
Okay, so this is a Japanese car.
It is, yeah.
And I believe from the little knowledge I have about them, because I can't even pronounce the name, it's based on an S13 underneath.
That's right, yeah. Sylvia S13, yeah.
And there's not many in the world.
No.
But this one here as well has got another backstory to it.
Oh, it does.
As in, Jeremy Clarkson was once on the logbook.
Absolutely. This one, as you said, there were 500 made of these,
Yeah.
and this is the most famous one in the world.
Yeah,
because
in the world.
yes, because this specific one was used by Jeremy Clarkson on the Grand Tour during one of their specials, specifically Eurocrash,
Yeah.
which was their big trip in Europe. And the premise of that show was to do a road trip nobody's ever thought of in cars nobody's ever done a road trip in, which is why Jeremy chose this.
Right. Okay. So now going back to this car,
Yes.
it's got SSR wheels on it.
Yes.
Were they stock when you got
Yeah, they were literally like it was from the show. Jeremy actually painted them green whilst on the show because he thought the car needed some more flamboyance.
Right.
Which I don't think it really did need it, but you know, I'm not going to argue with him. He said it makes it look a bit sort of racing green, I guess. But hey, I've warmed to them. I can't say they were my favourite, but I've warmed to them.
And so, other Jeremy Clarkson modifications,
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing are these...
Yes, so basically the car started standard at the beginning of the show. The first thing to change were the wheels.
Yeah.
They were painted. Then one night when Jeremy was in bed, James May and the film crew fitted these candelabras to the front wings. The purpose of which really was just to irritate him, quite frankly, because they make an annoying jangly noise. And I think it sort of plays into the joke that this is sort of a bit Liberace inspired.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people think of Liberace with this sort of car. And the last thing to be modified on the car during the show was the interior. And that's why, because it reminds everybody also of Cruella de Vil 101 Dalmatians, which is why we've got Dalmatian interior.
I thought it was like a cowl.
Well, yeah, some people do think that, but no. Do you want a closer look? It's,
Yeah, we're going there in a minute.
Oh yeah, it's.
What about this pillow then?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a bit of a story around that, mainly due to me not being as tall as Jeremy. So Jeremy changed the seats, and it's actually bolted in his driving position. Now he's probably about 6'4", and I'm certainly not, so I have to use a cushion. But it is a Dalmatian cushion,
Right.
so it's tasteful. It's very tasteful. But yeah, I didn't want to change it. I'm keeping it as original as possible.
And then going back to here, I'll just ask you this.
Oh yeah.
So they're actual bullet marks.
Well, yeah, so part of what they did, they travelled through 4 European countries, one of which was Hungary. Now, apparently in Hungary, they have the most skilled archers in the world. So one of the challenges was that each presenter raced their car around a track, and there were archers on horseback shooting at the cars. So the challenge was whoever got shot the least won. And these are literally arrow holes which were shot at the car. Now what I've done is, because this car is interesting, because it's based on the Sylvia, the mid portion is, this is all metal here, but the front and the back is fiberglass. So
Right.
these started rusting, which is why I've rust treated them and like clear coated them in to stop them. Whereas like arrow holes like this on fiberglass doesn't rust, so I can just leave it alone. And that's the thing, I really wanted to preserve the originality of something they made not original, if that makes sense. But everybody loves seeing evidence from the show, if that makes sense. Yeah. Well, my main complaint, I love this car, but my only complaint about it really is maneuverability is horrendous. If you want to park it anywhere, you need to plan ahead. You need to get your diary out, calendar, and make some future plans. Parking is horrendous, but normal driving is good. It's pretty comfortable. It's reasonably nippy up to about 40 miles an hour. It likes to cruise at 60. It definitely likes cruising at 60. It's got an overdrive button. Oh yeah, it's got all the tools. Oh, and it does, because they've moved the wheels so far forward than the standard Silvia. It's you really do feel like you're steering something in the distance, because you are. But the feedback from the steering is bizarre. It really does feel like it's sort of way yonder.
And I'm guessing it's not your daily driver.
Well, I tell people I take this wherever I can park it, which normally means car shows in big fields. I can just about park it there.
And how did you come across the car? Did it just pop up, or did you always want one?
Well, technically it did pop up. Well, interestingly enough, with being a bit sentimental, I've grown up watching Top Gear. I've always enjoyed the Grand Tour. I've always had a secret desire to sort of own a car from that show. I never knew how I was going to do it, but I've always just thought that would be super cool. And so it's always been in the back of my mind. And anyway, I saw this car advertised 2 weeks before it was auctioned, and I remember recognising it, for one, because it wasn't even advertised as the one.
Yeah.
I just saw it and I realised what it was, and I thought, you know what, 2 weeks till this auction, I just made a decision. I was really firm about it as well. I just said, you know what, this is for me. And it's weird to look at something like this and decide it's for you. It takes a certain sort of person. But no, I was really, really forward about it, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to buy this car. Like with the auction house this was with, they have like a representative who looks after each lot. And I remember when I saw this car, I actually rang him up and I introduced myself, and I was very confident to him. I didn't say I'm going to be bidding on this. I said to him, hi, my name's Zach, and I'm actually going to be buying this car. And he really appreciated that. And I remember when I won the auction, I rang him up and I said, well, I told you so, didn't I? I did say I was going to buy it, didn't I?
Would you like to let us know how much you paid for it, or
well,
you'd rather not?
But anybody who asks me that, which are many people, I'm sorry, the question isn't super original there. I get many people asking me that, and if they ever ask me that, I have to give them a little story. So you'll have to accept my little story. So basically, this was auctioned at the NEC in Birmingham. Now, it was advertised like probably months before it auctioned, but I only saw it 2 weeks ahead of time. The way they advertised this car, in my opinion, was bad, but for the sake of getting most of the value out of it, because good in my case, they didn't mention Jeremy Clarkson, they didn't mention the Grand Tour, they just said, as seen on TV.
Right.
So you're missing all of that marketing, and because this is an import, Japanese cars record their miles in kilometres. So they said the odometer was reading 40,000 miles, which it wasn't, it was 25,000, which didn't help. And the NEC gives star ratings, and they said the bodywork was like a 2 out of 5 because somebody shot it, and by the time they said somebody's glued some Dalmatian print all over it, it suddenly becomes a terrible thing in their catalogue. And you've got very serious people going to the NEC buying perfectly restored things. And for people who didn't know what this was, it just looked idiotic. But anyway, so long story short, it went well under for what they thought it was going to sell for at least 20,000, at least. I got it for a bargain. All in, I got it for £11,500. Oh yeah, so absolute steal.
Will you ever sell it, or is it that's with
in
you
my
for life?
I looked at this car, as something for me. I just have always dreamt of owning. So, you know, I remember when I watched the show, before even knowing this was ever for sale, I just can't imagine thinking I watched that show and then I'd end up with the car. But I remember when I'd watched the show, this was my favourite one on the episode,
right? Which
is handy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not the one saying, oh, it's my least favourite. I genuinely will be keeping this. I really don't think anybody could offer me anything for this that I'm interested in, really.
Okay.
I just don't think it's possible. But put it to your audience. Send me an email. I'm expecting to leave Goodwood with a big check, right?
Well, make a comment, and if you want to buy this car, put a figure in there, and he'll probably turn it down.
You're gonna need a fat wallet, I'm afraid. fat wallet.
Fat wallet. Zach, thank you very much for today.
Thank you so much. There's a lot to talk about.
There was a lot to talk about.
It is a lot to talk about.
About all the little dings and dongs and where it's come from and why you bought it and why you love it.
Well, yeah, and that's what makes it so special to people.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing it out.
Well, and thank you for doing this, and it's been great chatting with you.
That's all right.
Thanks so much.
And remember, if you enjoyed this video, to like, subscribe and share. And yeah, definitely leave a comment on this one. It's going to be a bit controversial.
Oh yes.